If you're a mom or you're a dad and you have kids, you already know life can be pretty challenging. When you throw in being a business owner on top of that, can be super difficult. I'm super excited for you guys to learn from our next guest. She packed for a quick venture to the Philippines, but life had other plans. 14 years later, she's back, and now a mom of 3 and a business powerhouse. How did a short trip to the Philippines become a journey of a lifetime? Let's dive in. Welcome everyone to the LFG show, back again for episode number 3. And it is I, Mark Adana, and Charles, and we have a really special guest here today. We have Krystle Dizon-Dehesa.
Hello.
Woo!
Hi guys.
How's it going?
Hello. Very happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So just to get into, first of all, we're just really excited to have you here. It's nice to have a different type of energy. Our first 2 episodes have been a lot of dude energy. So having another female presence in here, actually you're our first female.
Yay.
So you're definitely representing, the ladies on this one.
Got you, ladies.
And yeah, so, you are the co-founder of the Virago Soul.
Yes.
Right? And that's your own personal business. And, that's kind of like, would you say that's like your passion project right now that you're doing?
Yeah, 100%. My partner and I started the Virago Soul in 2020 when COVID hit. And as much as we wanted to pour our all into it, and we truly did, COVID was really winning that battle. We had so many mental blocks because of on and off lockdowns. The backstory to that is I was living in the Philippines at the time, and I just moved back last year, had a baby, my 3rd baby. So this is the year we're doing it, we're committing, we're growing this platform, and we're not letting go of the idea because I feel like it was placed into our minds, into our hearts for a reason, and we want to carry this mission out to help really promote unapologetic motherhood.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah, and I think, as far as like promoting goes, like that's what I kind of was really excited to have you on the show is like your spirit and like your entrepreneurial kind of vibe is just really about promoting others. And I haven't really known you for too long, but known you long enough to catch that's your vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, fun fact though, we have all known each other since I was a teenager.
Yes.
I mean, you've known Charles longer.
Right.
Yes.
Since my freshman year, I believe, of high school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right.
And then met Mark, I think I was like 18.
Mm-hmm.
I think we met like right before you moved out to the Philippines.
Yeah, so I moved officially when I had like just turned 20. And then I ended up living there I was only supposed to stay
Forever.
for a year, and I ended up living there for 14 years.
Damn.
Right.
And so it's been a crazy transition moving back. And like I said, I just had a baby. So this is my year of like coming out of hermit mode.
Nice.
I feel like I've been hibernating and like hiding from everyone. And now I'm like, okay, I'm ready to connect again.
Dude, that's perfect then because, we started this podcast at a great time because we're catching you out of your hermit mode.
Yes. I'm a new butterfly.
I love it. So, also like what brought you out to the Philippines in the first place? Like when you were here in the States, like you moved to the Philippines for something specific, right?
Yeah. So I moved to the Philippines because I got asked. I was doing pageants here in the Bay Area through my teen years, and especially a lot of the Filipino pageants. And then I got asked to do Miss Earth, which is a big national pageant in the Philippines. Well, it's a global pageant, but it was to represent the Philippines, to compete to represent the Philippines. And I honestly was like, hell yeah, free trip to the Philippines. Like, I'm there.
Right. Heck yeah.
And I went and I was culture shocked. I was, not because I hadn't been to the Philippines before, but I had never experienced Manila before. And Manila is a whole other beast. And I feel like
that was also your first time out of the States?
No. I had been there multiple times, but my parents are from a province called Pampanga, and we would always go there. We would hardly ever stay in Manila. And to be on my own in Manila was just like, whoa.
Dang.
And realizing how big pageants are celebrated in the Philippines was just like, this is insane. This is next level. I remember having like a press conference, the first press conference where they introduce everyone, and the rehearsals were happening, and then it happens, and I was just like, that was my first time. I was just like, holy shit, what did I get myself into? Like, this is crazy. Like, cameras everywhere, reporters everywhere, and I was like, whoa, what is this? But, you know, I ended up placing, and because I placed, I stayed for a year, and I fell in love with living outside of the U.S., experiencing a new country on my own. And on top of that, like, the cherry on top is like, that is my motherland. So I got to understand Filipino culture in its natural level.
Right. That's pretty tight.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like, so to come back here and see, you know, just having a better understanding of where my parents come from, where they were raised, and why we were raised the way we were, helps me so much, because I feel like I was so resentful towards them for so long for my upbringing almost. And I'm sure like, it's not to put down my parents. Everyone has that struggle, right? Like, everyone goes through their own thing. And for me to live there and understand, like, okay, I get it now. And I just appreciate my parents so much more because of my experience there.
Crazy. Yeah, and I just love that story. I don't think I've fully heard that story from you before, so now I know. Like, that's what brought you out there. And it just seems like once you got out there, so many things were happening in your life at once. Like, just, you know, living on your own for the first time.
Yes.
Living in a whole new country for the first time. Like, experiencing, like, the pageantry life it sounds like it's on another level.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, just culture shock after culture shock after culture shock just coming at you. Like, how do you feel looking back that you did, like, managing, like, all those things happening at one time?
So it was funny because when I landed, we all stayed in the same house, and right when I got there, they were like, okay, you have to go put on a gown and, like, go in for makeup, and then you're doing a photo shoot. And I'm like, oh,
That's some, like, MTV shit.
Yeah, legit. And so I called my mom, and I'm like, I'm here. And she's like, how are you? Are you okay? And I'm like, no. And she's like, what? And I could hear the worry. And I was like, I mean, I'm okay. Like, and I didn't want to scare her, but truly, I was so nervous. I was so scared. Like, what is happening? But I'm like, okay, we got to just, like, roll with the punches. Like, I'm the eldest of 5 kids. Rolling the punches is something that I can do.
Right.
So I was like, there's no harm in, like, just really putting myself out there right now.
Yeah.
And I was surrounded by so many amazing women that they helped me through it too. They're like, okay, don't worry. Like, we'll help you. Whatever questions you have, let us know. And so that just helped me big time. And I made so many friends and just had so many beautiful experiences. And of course, it was hard. I've had so many challenges too. But overall, like, that was a huge pivotal moment in my life.
Right. And, you know, time goes by and, you know, you stay there. You said you were there for 14 years after that.
Yeah.
Right? So within that 14 years and between the time you move back, you create the Virago Soul. Right?
Yeah. So, and this is, like, way down the line. Right. So, like, I moved here as a single woman, like, just trying to find myself, you know, and a few years later, I meet my husband. When I meet him, a few months later, I get pregnant. Okay, so this is, like, not even a year later. And that really rocked my world because I was 25, not expecting to become a mom. Like, that's something I knew I always wanted
Without
to
your mom
be.
there.
Without my mom there. Actually, no, my mom was there.
Oh, she was.
Yeah, she had moved there for a while. But it was something that I had just come out of a really traumatic, awful breakup. And actually, so did he. And we just ended up meeting, falling in love, but then getting pregnant and was not expecting that. And again, huge pivotal moment in my life because it made me reevaluate just everything. And she and my daughter Noah is truly the inspiration behind a lot of what I do and why I do it. You know, there was a lot of habits I needed to break, a lot of changes that needed to happen. And so she really inspired me to become this next level woman for her, but also for myself. And then that's how the Virago Soul also came to be.
Awesome. So who's your partner? Is she here in the States also, or
No, she's in the Philippines.
Okay.
So it's been a little tricky because she's there, and the time difference has been crazy. But she's also a mom of 3. Her name is Thea. Hi, Thea. I miss you.
Oh. We know Thea. Hi, Thea.
Do you know?
What's up, Thea?
Do we? Do we not?
I don't
Sounds
know.
familiar.
Is she in the loom?
Yes, you've
Yeah,
met her in
so
the
yeah, I met her.
loop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi,
Yes.
Thea.
Hi, Thea.
Yes. Thea is a phenomenal writer, editor. She's so good with words, and she and I had always had conversation. She also had a child early in her life, so we both, but at separate times. And when I had Noah, she was the only other mom friend that I had. But what we really had in common before was going out. The party scene in Manila, it was insane. Is insane still, I'm sure. Not that I'd want to go back to that, but it was so much fun, and we just clicked on so many levels. And I feel like when you find that a person, a friend that you are able to grow with, like to meet her at 20 but still be so tight with her at 35, I'm just like, she's a real one. Because there's so many people. I mean, you guys know, I'm sure you guys have outgrown so many friendships.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like, oh, they've become bad people. It's just like, hey, we don't like the
Lives
same
go different
thing
ways.
anymore. Or like, we don't connect the same anymore. Or you want to stay doing that and I can't do that anymore. I can't surround myself with that. I need to be doing this. And for me to get here, like, I got to let you go. So there was a lot of that happening in our lives, especially after I became a mom. And she just supported me all the way through. So
Nice.
I love her.
So when we travel to Manila, we're gonna bring you,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
your husband, Carl, and we're gonna hit up Thea, and then we're just gonna go wild in Manila. I've never been to the Philippines.
Oh
so
my gosh.
if you're talking about culture shock, I'm gonna be like, what? I mean, I still like super identify with being like a Filipino, but then when
Yes.
people hear that I've never been to the Philippines, it's like, I don't know if you're really Filipino, you never even been there, but it's just how it is.
And
you know?
you'll get another level of that when you go to the Philippines.
Right, I'm sure.
Like, we've been there for years, and they're just like, yeah, but you're from the States. And it's not real, and it's like I don't know, it's almost that feeling of you're Filipino, but not Filipino enough.
Right. Definitely. So, as far as, your company, I really want to kind of go over that, the LFG show was really created to promote others,
Yes.
like yourself and like a lot of other business owners out there, as far as just creating business for yourself. What is the Virago Soul out there? Like, if you were to speak to listeners or viewers out there, like, what would you want to tell them about your company and how to find it?
Okay, so it was, like I said, it's inspired by me becoming a mom and not knowing where I stood anymore, like not understanding myself, completely losing myself, and wanting to find this woman that I knew was like trapped inside, but I seemed to like always suppress her, and which comes from like, of course, like trauma and like upbringing and all of that, and also goes back to like culture, being raised as like a first generation Filipino American. So I do feel that when I started to become more in tune with myself, and I felt a little more fearless in speaking my truth, I was like, okay, I can't be the only one. Like, this can't be it. And so I started to talk about it on my Instagram, And when I did, other moms were messaging me like, yes, like I feel this too. And so I got it. And I've always wanted to get into life coaching, and I did. And at first I was like, I want to coach younger women, entrepreneurs. And I was just like, this isn't feel good. Like, it's not, like, sometimes they'd be like asking me about dating, and I'm like, I'm not there, girl. I don't know. Like, I don't know the dating scene anymore. I don't know how that works. I completely missed like the whole Tinder shit. So
yeah,
I don't know. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about like what feels good to me, and that's motherhood. Like, this is a space that I thrive in, and I'm not saying like, oh, it's because I'm the best mother. It's like, no, it's because I'm able to be vulnerable in this space, and that's the first time in my life that I've been able to show my weaknesses, show that I'm struggling, show that I don't have it all together, and that's okay. And I felt like I wanted to be seen as that, because it made it okay for other moms to be like, yes, I'm struggling too.
When you first like started sharing it, was it hard for you to share that? Like, I mean,
yes.
I imagine it would be like
yes,
super
yes.
like a wave of like
100%. Like, I feel that I have always had this tough girl persona. Like, everyone always knew me as like the tough girl.
Krystle can actually deliver a pretty strong, sturdy punch for a girl.
Wow.
Stronger than most guys that I know.
All right, well, now we're gonna have to see it now.
So Charles, stand up
Again?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm also really amazing at cussing people out. Like, that is a strong suit of mine. But, I wanted to stop trying to protect myself that way, because ultimately that's what it was. It was me being super guarded, me trying to protect myself. And I was like, I don't need to protect myself in that way anymore. Like, I can show who I truly am and be really authentic in that way. Like, I'm tired, like, we call them like the Pinterest moms, where it's like you look at their house and it's like immaculate, the parties are perfect, like they only feed their children this and this and that, and it's like, sure, I'm like bits and pieces of that, but like on a good day.
Yeah.
And I don't want other women to feel like they're just drowning in all of this, or drowning in this like space of, I'm not thriving because I can't do this, I'm not that. And
it's a lot
like,
of pressure.
Girl, nobody's that. Like, no one's really that. Like, they're faking it, or if they do have it, they have tons of help. It's not, no one wants to talk about that. And so it was like a space where we're like, hey, you can say fuck here. Like, like the F word is okay here. We accept you here, right? Like, come as you are, because this is a space that we want you to thrive in. Meaning, like, if you don't have it all together, it's okay, but just like be yourself, and we can talk through these things. We can talk through like what you're struggling with, why you're struggling through it, and we can talk about like the funny stuff too, because there's so many things that there's so many funny things that happen in our day to day. Like, you want to be funny and say like roast your child, like, do it. It's like it's like the best thing. So it was really a space to be like, let's just get together and like have fun.
Yeah.
Right. I love everything that you're talking about, because first of all, I just commend you for kind of taking that route and just being your authentic self.
Yeah.
I think so many people, especially with social media nowadays, struggle to connect with themselves in that way and just be authentic. And also for being vulnerable. It's not easy to be vulnerable. I think the LFG podcast, since we've made it, I've put myself out there on camera to be vulnerable. And not a lot of guys from, I don't know, for whatever reason, the Bay Area is just like, dudes just don't want to be vulnerable. But I'm just like at a point, kind of like you, like how you just talked about, like, I'm okay with being myself and being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to judge me, you can judge me.
Right.
I can't control that. So what better way to just be true to myself than just be your authentic self? Yes. And, for you to go out and kind of be a life coach for other moms out there, I think it's amazing. And I couldn't be more happy to like promote like what you're doing and like your mission and your message, because I find we connect in that way.
Yes,
where, you know,
100%.
just be vulnerable and be yourself and have a safe space to talk to, you know, people that are willing to listen.
Yes.
You know, that's just basically connecting with other humans, you know?
Yeah, and we get to this space where when you start to level up in life, right? When growth happens, you start to realize that you connect to people differently. So even if someone doesn't want to hear about your vulnerability, like that's fine. You've probably outgrown them. You've moved on from that. Like you probably can't carry a conversation that you personally would want to sit through anyway. So you're already like, by showing who you truly are, what you represent, what you mean, like you're going to attract the right people into your circle. And these people are going to nourish you, speak life into you, and bring you up to this space where you're just going to flourish. Mm-hmm. And that's truly the only way to thrive and be happy in this life, is to continuously want to be growing, like to be open to grow.
Mm-hmm. Damn, that's so deep. I just love that stuff. Like I think in the short time that we've been like pretty good friends, like I've said it multiple times, like I could talk about stuff like this all day.
Yeah.
And like sometimes it's funny talking about it with Charles, because sometimes like, I mean, I'm not really on that level sometimes, but
I'm there.
I think I think you're definitely growing though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think that's our dynamic, is like I'm kind of always open to growth and just committed to growing and changing and just understanding that, you know, growth is a good thing.
Yeah.
And at this point, you know, this is the whole reason and the whole premise of making this show, is to just say fuck it and just create, you know, be creative, talk about things, like speak on things that are difficult to talk about, but we need to say it, like get it off your chest.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, you know, what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
So I'm actually curious how you came up with the name, the Virago Soul.
Okay, so I came, it was Thea, for sure. I wanted to call it room temp, and they're like, why? And I'm like, cause, you know, like, you know, the whole coffee thing, like we can never have hot coffee because we're too busy, like chasing our kids. By the time you get to it, it's like room temperature. And then they're like, okay, that's cool, but we'd have to explain that so much.
I've
and
never heard
like,
of that.
You're not a mom.
But I also don't drink coffee, so.
There's a lot of things you don't do, Charles.
Yeah.
I mean, I also do a lot of things, but coffee is just rare.
Carl also used to not drink coffee until we moved back to the States and we didn't have help anymore. Now my guy's waking up like, I gotta make my coffee.
Is he a coffee snob?
A little bit. Yeah. He's like, order me a cortado. What? Who are you?
A cortado? That's like Nelly? Oh no, that's Furtado.
Nelly Cortado.
That's Nelly Furtado. But it's almost the same though. You know? It's like, I'm like a bird. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, good talk.
That's hilarious.
No, I really like the name, like Virago Soul. Like I think when I first stumbled upon it, because you know you have it like on your Instagram, I was like, the Virgo Soul?
You right.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, there's an A in there. It's Virago.
Yeah, yeah. So it means like a heroic, warlike woman, and I think when that that term used to be used maybe as like to be offensive towards women, like and because women in society are meant
We're
to
not
be
supposed
like,
to be warriors,
right,
or
exactly, like we're meant to like be in the home and to be pleasant, to be caring, to be nurturing, which a lot of times women naturally are, but it doesn't mean we have to show up that way all the time.
Right.
And we definitely don't have to do it for you.
Right.
Right.
Oh my God.
So we're like, when she said that to me, I was like, yes, that's right there. Yes.
It's like, let's sign it up. Let's do it. Let's do the website, everything.
That's the one. Let's go.
Cool. So, you mentioned that after having your first daughter, your first child, it kind of pushed you to reach newer heights.
Yes.
Was that with the Virago Soul pretty much, right?
No.
Or just all around?
No, so Virago didn't come to be till Noah was, how old is she? She's 8. Or no, she's 9. Since she was 7. So it was really like, Virago is not my first thing. Like I first started, my first business venture was caramel apples. It was not
I remember
thing in the Philippines. So
the bad apple.
And Thea was my partner then too.
It's on my IG.
Yes. So that was my first taste of entrepreneurship, and I had only had experience in like retail and corporate, but never being on my own. And that was our first taste, and it was fun, but we eventually didn't see like the longevity of it, and we also had more kids, so it just got really tiring, and so we stopped. And then what else? There's something in between. Oh, and then I started an events company because of the bad apple. We were joining these like food style events where we'd set up a booth and do all that. And me and one of my boys were like, he had his own brand too, and we're like, dude, let's throw our own event. And so we started an events company, and that was really fun, and we did really well. But COVID hit, and that's when I was like, okay, I need to dive into my coaching. Like this, I thought I wasn't going to want to be in coaching anymore, but really I was just so tired from my second child. And when I got all that like strength back, and I was like, okay, I like dove into it hard, and I was just shocked at like how fast I was moving and how I started showing up and talking on Instagram, and that was really nerve-wracking, but it all paid off and worked out. And now we're just like, okay, we got to pour everything we got into this because it's just so good.
Yeah, so it pretty much just came back and found you itself.
Yes, yeah. I think like most things, like most people in COVID, it was like a time to truly pause and self-reflect on another level. Like it's not just like a day of self-reflection. It was like months of self-reflection and like, what do I actually want? Like, how hard am I going to go right now? And I was just constantly pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and it really paid off. So I feel like money is such a huge topic that nobody wants to talk about. And I mean, including me, like I really had to push myself last year to really open up my eyes to how I felt about it. Was I rejecting it? How could I be better with it? And just really learn about the game of money. And like we mentioned before, a lot of this stems from our upbringing, what financial trauma is there. And for me, like you said earlier, I've really come to embrace that money is energy. And how you treat it, how you look at it, is a reflection of how it's going to come to you. Versus before, where I was just like, it was so deeply ingrained that money is evil, but we need it. So it's like, wait, I'm confused. And I was like, okay, wait, no, money is not evil. People are evil. And we need money because we want to be able to provide for everyone, right? We want to make our lives better, and it's a beautiful tool to help enrich our lives, to bring amazing experiences into play. And so I don't know, did you guys have similar experiences growing up with money? Like what was the conversation, or was there a conversation about money in your guys' house?
Yeah, I think I'll go first, and then Charles, you can go. But we talked about it a little bit in past episodes, but I did want to kind of extend like that conversation a little bit more too, because my household, I feel like they treated money like kind of frivolously a little bit, you know, which I don't know if a lot of other Filipino families out there with our instilled like culture, how they treated money. Like I'm still unclear if other families are maybe a little bit more like tight-handed with money, or, you know, it's interesting. I want to hear your guys' take on it too, like how your upbringing with money was, because I feel like my parents, they kind of just, I hope they're not listening, but they kind of just blew through their money. And like, you know, they purchased like cars and like refinanced a house and did all this stuff. And in 2008, like they really got hit hard with like the real estate crash. And we felt it. Like we went through stuff like bankruptcy and like all this, turmoil. We thought that we were going to lose our house and everything like that. And what that taught me was that we just weren't prepared for the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
They kind of went through their money thinking like, I'll get like these Louis purses and nice cars and have a nice house in Vallejo. But they just weren't ready for like the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So, knowing that, like me growing up, my relationship with money was just a little bit weird. Like, I think now I definitely want to have a better relationship with money where like I want to spend it. I'd rather spend it on like reinvesting into myself.
Yeah.
Or like instead of like buying like nice clothes, I'd rather buy like nice equipment, or even like maybe pick up like a class or a course that like kind of reinvests into my skills that I can use to build more money and use that energy to create more opportunities for money so that it just keeps flowing through me.
They do say one of your streams of income should be a fun hobby.
Yeah.
At least one of them.
What's yours?
I'm not sure yet. Still trying to find it. Maybe this.
Yeah.
I think mine's eating food.
Oh, dude.
Like
so much money is spent on food.
I know,
for me.
and it's like sometimes they're like, this is how much people spend on like so much of your money goes to eating out, and I'm like, but sometimes it's worth it.
Yeah. What about you, Charles? Like I know we went into it in a previous episode, but like expanding more on your relationship with money, because I know that you said like you went to high school and like a rich high school,
yes.
and but you were still like that dude that's super confident in like your Corolla or your Toyota, right?
Toyota,
yeah,
4-speed
right?
Tercel.
Yeah. So do
Two-door.
you want to speak on that?
So in my household, finances weren't really talked about, but I did see it.
Right.
I did see all the ups and downs that we went through. I remember when we went through similar things about in bankruptcy, and that was before the housing crash. I know it was because of life experiences. When my dad's dad passed, it really took a toll on my dad and really changed the way our lives were going. But we came out of it, and so I did see all the ups and downs. I don't know if my parents know that I've noticed it. I've tried to bring it up to my sister before, and I don't think she remembers it, which is good. So, yeah, it just wasn't really talked about in my household, but I did see it and I did understand it. Other than that, I mean, it was really important for my parents for us to have a good education or a Catholic education.
Yeah.
Because my mom was from the Philippines, went to Catholic school growing up. My dad was a public school kid. He was just following pretty much what my mom wanted to do for education, and obviously he wanted education for us to go further. But yeah, we were in private school, not necessarily the rich kids. There were definitely a bunch of wealthy families in there. Like I said before, like get into an accident, total the car, and get a brand new Mercedes the next week.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about that?
I mean, I walked into houses with elevators, and I was like, "What the heck is this? Like, why?
Yeah,
like you guys can all walk. There's stairs here. Maybe a fire pole. That'd be tight." But it was interesting. I wouldn't say it's a culture shock, but it was interesting to see how others lived.
Mm-hmm.
But in my close circle, it was still very similar to what I knew. Hanging out with you, and some of our close friends. So it did open up my eyes to another lifestyle that I wanted to obtain, of course. But yeah, it was another level that I guess you just want to reach.
Right.
That you think you want to reach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you think you want to reach because you see the material things and you're like, I want that, but not really knowing what emotions go behind trying to obtain all of that, or what will that even bring me if I do have all of that. And I think that is like the deeper level of money. Like, is this actually going to bring me genuine happiness? And it's so funny because like history shows like no one who's been like mega rich has been crazy happy, right? But we're still like, oh, but I still want it.
Right.
But I still want it. And it's like, okay, no, now let's realign why we want this money. And once you start to understand your intention and what you're going to use that money for and what it's going to bring into your life, then you're like, oh, okay, I see the shift.
Right. Yeah. And I think for me, like, I don't know what it was. Like, in my younger 20s, I was the type to be like, I don't want money to, like, rule my life. I, for some reason, was in a state of mind where I was like, if I were to be, like, a beach bum in, like, Hawaii with a van and just, like, surf all day, I probably would have been happy. Like, but that was just, like, me, like, kind of just thinking, like, maybe I did think, like, money was evil in a way. Like, money's going to change you.
Yes.
Or money's going to, like, I don't know. When you're money motivated, I thought that meant, like, that was a bad thing when you're money motivated.
I mean,
you know?
I was still very money motivated.
Yeah.
Definitely doing things to try to get more money, right? Trying to hang out with all the cool kids. But I knew it wasn't everything.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, and it's not as it's heard, but first rule of making money is hate money. You know, it just, don't let it take over your life. You know, understand what it is and what it takes to get there, and really be present in what it does to your everyday life in working so hard.
Yeah. And I think, like, you can use money as a tool. Like, look
Yeah.
at it
Yeah,
like
definitely.
it's a tool to build something, because you can use money in a lot of different ways.
Right.
Like, you can use money for time freedom. You can use money for, I don't know, creating a legacy, like
Yes.
what we're talking about here for LFG. Like, that energy. Sorry, I'm just going to segue into this little point, because, like, that energy you use to receive money and create currency, like, that can be felt from generation to generation.
Yes.
So, like, getting into the financial services space, I feel like that's how I look at passing down money. Is
Yeah.
like all the hard times you've taken to work towards money and gather all this money, that's energy. Like, you put in work, you put in energy to receive this money, and you can definitely, like, pass that on to your children, your children's children, and the next generation. So it's almost like you're passing down energy, aka currency, to, you know, live long past you're gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's also breaking that cycle that money is going, if you have lots of money, it's going to ruin your family. I feel that a lot of people start to feel scared or have this fear around, if I obtain, like, a obscene amount of money, my family is going to be ruined. I mean, I feel that sometimes, right? Like, what will happen to my marriage? Will my children hate me? Will I show up as a different type of mother? Am I going to show up as a different type of wife? And I had to really work through that and understand that, okay, this is my own personal relationship with money, and I have to pass down to my children that if I have a healthy relationship and they can see that having money doesn't mean things around you are going to fall apart or that it's going to ruin people around you, then I need to act on that. I need to show them. I need to set that example and break that cycle and just really pass it down, right?
And
like,
really
start a
love money.
new ripple and love
And
money.
love money.
And it's okay to say that, right? I
Right.
used to be so embarrassed to be like, oh,
Right.
I feel like especially women, like, would be shamed, be like, oh, she's so money hungry. Like, well, if she wants a certain type of lifestyle, what's wrong with that? Right? And they're like, oh, well, she doesn't work for it. Like, says who? Right? Like, it's so challenging for women sometimes to be like, I love money.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people against them being like, oh,
Right.
because you're a gold digger.
Oh,
Like, there's
yeah.
so
It's
many
especially
labels.
for women,
I hate
feel
that.
like.
So
I mean,
many
even for guys,
labels.
but especially for women.
Yeah, like, if she wants to date people that only make six figures, like, fucking do that. Like, do that. If you don't want to, like, work from the bottom to the top, if you already want to start here, like, do that. That's completely fine. Like, I would understand why. Like, people need to be like, okay, I get it. And it doesn't mean, like, she doesn't love the person. That's just, like, part of her
A
checklist.
byproduct.
Yeah, like, come on.
Yeah. And I think it just goes into, like, accepting just people's outlook on money is just different. Like, just don't try to put everybody in the same box.
Right.
You know, just be accepting and open to all types of relationships with money.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Because bottom line, we all love money.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like to think of it like there was a podcast I listened to where he was saying like, imagine money, like, I guess I'm talking for like me and Charles, if like money was like a really beautiful woman and you took money out on a date and you told, your date like, hey, I'm going to use you to make more money. Like, how do you think she would feel? She'd probably be like, I don't really like being used, but I don't know what he was trying to, like, I think he was trying to get, actually, never mind. I think I lost it.
Sorry, I'm over here laughing at it.
No, it's okay. I think I had a good point, but then it got kind of like, convoluted. Sorry, we'll just edit that out.
Convoluted.
I can kind of see where you're going though with it.
Yeah.
It's like if you like personify money as a person, like have an actual relationship with money, like as a person.
Yes.
Right. And really love it.
Yeah, and it's like if you
Like,
tell your date like I hate you.
But yeah, take care of it, exactly.
Or like you're evil.
I mean, it's like
they're gonna leave you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's like the energy that you put into it is what you'll get back.
Right.
And
if you tell it like I love you and I want to have a great relationship with you, they'll probably stay.
Right.
So I think that's where I was trying to go.
And I feel like people don't use words like nurture your money, where it's like, yes, like see like how is it making you feel when you have more money? How does it make you feel when you don't have much money? Right? Like doing check-ins like that.
Yeah.
And what are you actually spending your money on? How are you taking care of your money? Are you treating it with respect, or are you just like burning it like on Amazon buying a bunch of crap? And it's like, okay, when we do that, like we're disrespecting our money, we're disrespecting our time, we're disrespecting the environment. Like it's all a ripple effect. So it's truly like nurture, show your money respect, care for it, because it's also a reflection of your personal energy and of yourself.
Right.
Yeah. And I think Charles and I talked about like our household and our relationship with money, but what's your relationship with money growing up?
Yeah, so it's also similar. Like my parents, so I feel that in terms of love languages, my parents' love language is to gift.
Your
like
parents were the plug.
Yes, my dad has always been known as the plug, but he's a very generous. He's so generous. So is my mom. Like they would always come home with gifts and they would tell us they love us, but that was truly their way of being like, I'm thinking about you, I love you, which is beautiful, but it's also like can be a bad habit, right? Like it's also not taking care of what they actually had. And so it became challenging because you would see that they'd want to give us these things, but then there's also like fights that happened. And so it kind of starts to skew your understanding of what money does. And I know that's why I have like these deeply rooted traumas around money. Like it's not good, your family, it brings harm to your family, because that's what I saw. And obviously, I'm sure that's something they probably have seen too, right? Like it's, like I said, like it's a cycle, and it's really, I had made it a point to break that cycle because I want to have a different understanding of money, and I want my children to have an even better understanding of money. I don't want them to be in the positions that I've been, where I've been broke and not knowing how to make money or how to provide. Like, I want them to understand that it comes easy when you fully understand what you want to do, why you want to use it. And I just heard in another podcast, like, wealthy people don't think about money, right? It's only people that need money that think about money.
Wow.
And they think about it way too much.
And they think about it way too much. So it's really understanding that that is not the goal. The goal, like for me, the goal is to provide and to have these amazing experiences, to travel. Travel is like the best teacher, and I want to be able to give that to my kids. So that's the focus, right? Not the money. So that was a huge like shift for me when I heard that. I'm like, yeah, duh, like they have hell of it. Like, why are they thinking about it, right? Like, it's an abundance. When you have an abundance of something, you're not worried about it.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I need to be on that.
Do you currently feel like you have that mindset towards money?
I think that I'm working on it still. Like, it's, like I said, it's a deeply rooted trauma. So it's going to take time for me to like rewire my subconscious and really take that out and have a new, like really have my subconscious be like abundance, abundance, abundance.
Yeah.
Right. But I am mindful of it, and it's something that I work on and that me and Carl, my husband, talk about all the time, where before we would like very Asian, sweep it under the rug, not talk about like what's happening, and then when we're in a hole, we're like, oh shit. But now we're like, okay, so what's the plan? What do we have? Where are we gonna put it? Like, how are we dividing this? And we have a much, and there's still sometimes anxiety around that, right? Like,
Right.
oh, I feel like heavy talking about this, and I'm like, no, like fight through that. You need to talk about
it has
this.
to be talked about.
Yeah.
How about you, Mark? I mean, I'm curious because you're new to the space of having a business and everything like that. Have you adapted that mindset, or is it a new thing for you of having abundance of money?
Oh yeah, this is a great question. I think just like Krystle, I'm still working on it and developing like my relationship with money. But to answer your question, and Krystle touched on it earlier, is like, it's weird how wealthy people don't think about money, but they receive so much of it. And I'm starting to kind of want to adapt that way of thinking, because it's like the more you're detached from the idea of receiving money, the more it can like flow to you. You know, like I did read a book recently that said, you know, there's all these symbols that people put on an idea of like wealth. Like these symbols come with being rich is like a car, a house, I don't know, like a trophy wife or whatever. I don't know. But like there's all these symbols that people put on like wealth. And I think you should just not be attached to those symbols. You should just try to be a fulfilled person, try to be a good human being, and like work inwardly. And then all those things like money will just start to come along like for the ride, you know? And that's what I'm trying to work on, is like, don't be so attached to the number or like the number that's in the bank account. Like instead just use money to reinvest in yourself, and maybe it'll start growing and churning, and like, oh cool, I have like 10,000 in the bank. Cool. Not really attached to that number, or like I'm not making it a goal. I want to go hit 10,000. I want to see 10,000 in my bank. Like you're already too attached to that idea. And if you don't hit it, then what? You're going to be sad. You're going to be like pissed off. You're going to be bitter. So I think in that sense, I'm trying to be a little bit more detached on how I accumulate money. But I'm still like caring about it. I'm still going to like, you know, work my business. I'm not just going to sit back on my hands and just hope it does well. But I'm just going to treat it and nurture the business and money in a different way. Yeah. Thanks for asking, bro.
No, I was curious.
Like, why is it, do you guys think that like personal finance is something that's like left out of the conversation? Like when you go to school and go to, you know, college, like they leave out the fact that like personal finance is so important.
Right.
Oh my God, we're gonna go into the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Why is that not a subject?
This is a rabbit hole topic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's by design.
It is definitely by design.
100%.
Like you want to keep the working class.
Right.
And if we have too many thinkers, then I mean, the wealth class isn't going to stay at 1%. Yeah.
Right.
How are we going to have control? So ultimately, that's what I feel.
Because I think just speaking on the topic to people out there, just, you know, us as friends just talking about personal finance is already how like good personal finance tips gets passed around. It's like through person to person, you know, like I don't really think, I mean, you can go out there and watch like courses on how to be better with finances. But you have to go out there, like that's what I mean, is like you have to go out there and try to find that information yourself. Like there's no like, I mean, I know they teach like statistics and do they teach like finances in college, but it's not like it's different finance. It's like they're teaching you about like the stock market, but they're not teaching you how to
Build wealth.
manage,
bounce your checkbook or whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Which I think now that, because there's so many platforms like Instagram, TikTok, podcasts, like there's so many ways to learn. I feel like there's so many people trying to educate now, which I think is amazing. But it's also overwhelming at times. You're like, whoa, everything's coming at me so fast. But I do feel that it's so cool that there's so many ways to learn now, and that as whatever you want to learn, it's out there. And there's someone doing it for you. You just have to want it now at this point. Like now, I think this is a generation where it's like there's not as many excuses. Like if you want to learn about finances, like
Hit up YouTube or something.
yes, exactly that.
University.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it would be amazing if they did that in school.
I mean, they do teach like finances, but it's business finances. It's not personal finances and taxes and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But I think also because there's been so much awareness around it, there are a lot more like financial literacy courses that they're trying to bring into the schools. I feel like they probably feel the pressure, which is amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think there is going to be like a shift.
Oh, for sure. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, because like let's be real, like in today's society, like we are like told how to spend money like left and right, you know, all day, every day, just advertisements
Ads everywhere.
Yeah, like you know, there's an ad, like you have your phone, it's constantly updating you with emails from this person and this company, and you know, spend money here, spend money here. But yeah, like you guys said, it's definitely like a whole like rabbit hole we can go down.
Yes.
But I just think it's important for people out there to care about your personal finances and your relationship with money.
Yeah.
Just so that you don't go through things like, you know, our parents went through.
Yeah.
Obviously, like we all had our own run-ins with, you know, our family experiencing, you know, trouble with money. So, you know,
it's important to just welcome it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just like anything
open
else
to it.
in life. Like you have to be open to it, to understand
Right.
it, and to invite it into your life.
Right. Accept it.
yeah. So I guess we have like a couple minutes left. Like, do you want to do any like other promos or anything that you wanted to direct people towards, like a website or something like that?
Okay, yeah. So the Virago Soul is a platform that you can find online. It's www.theviragosoul.com, and you will find amazing articles written by myself, my partner Thea, a lot of contributing moms, and we talk about unapologetic motherhood and how, you know, we want to build on this community, and that's what I'm doing this year. Is really Thea and I is really trying to build the community. I'm doing that here in the Bay, and she's doing that in the Philippines right now. And you can also follow us on the Virago Soul on Instagram, or you can follow me personally at Krystle Dizon-Dehesa on Instagram. I talk a lot about motherhood, mental health, and overall wellness. And thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys for having me. I had a lot of fun. I want to come on again.
For sure. I mean, obviously, Krystle's a very close friend of ours, and you're a very close friend to the show. So, always welcome here. We'd love to have you here. You bring great energy. So,
Yay.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I just want to say, like, thank you for coming on our show and blessing us with your energy and your presence. And I can tell, like, your message to, like, empower other moms and other women out there is, like, really, truly genuine.
Yes.
And, you know, we just want to do our part and empower you to, you know, have this platform and just use it for, you know, whatever it is you need.
Thanks, guys.
high fives.
We did it.
That's a wrap.
What the?
I thought it was a high five.
I was like, what, are you trying to hit me?
Come on,
Block
Charles.
my shot?
You really want to experience that punch.
For real?
No, I don't.
wanna
I
experience
remember it. I'm still bruised by it.
Well, we got 2 more minutes. Maybe we could just punch Charles in the arm real quick.
Dang. Do you want to experience it?
No, I just trust your word.
I think you should.
I'm just gonna leverage your experience on this one.
Leverage your experience.
Oh, she probably got mom powers now, so.
Oh, yeah, you know that.
Those are whole.
That
That's
bicep.
a whole different.
That
Got
bicep
that,
gets stronger.
mom of 3 arm now.
That's what I'm saying. Dang.
Oh, this was fun.
It was
Yeah,
fun.
it was
Great
fun.
times.
Till next time, guys.
Bam.
Do you guys have like a sign off?
Not really.